The Texans have found a hidden gem. There's a lot to love after the NFL draft and a lot to break down, but who's going to be the most impactful rookie from this year's class? I think there's a lot of guys that can just step up. You got a couple of guys on offense, probably mostly offense, right? But that's what we're going to break down today in terms of what the offense is going to potentially look like and who's going to add the most value. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. 88% of you watching are not subbed to the channel. So if you want to come back to see Texans news, other things that we're doing, this video is actually breaking down by a subscriber himself, so we'll shout him out real quick. Chris Sanders, appreciate the idea for the video. This is inspired by him, so pretty much going in depth on the rookies now, and now that the draft's over, so maybe some trade speculations, AFC South in general. So we're gonna continue to do that all off season long. So if you want to comment down below any thoughts on videos, let me know, and we'll let you see. We'll shout you on a video. So shout out Chris. But thank you everyone for all the support on the videos. We've been growing. We've been doing crazy. But as for today, we're gonna talk about two guys that I think could have a huge impact on the Texans roster. And number one is Jaden Higgins, their second round pick, the first selection they had in this year's draft, and Higgins was pretty dominant at Iowa State. 87 catches last year, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. The drop rate was insane, so that's one player you have to love. And what I'm trying to think about is, what is this Texans offense going to look like now with a new offensive coordinator in Nick Caley? So I did some research on the Rams offense last year. I know he was the passing game coordinator, so not the offensive coordinator, but he still had some judgment. But the Texans offense for C.J. Stroud's rookie year in 2023, Collins went crazy, right? 1,200 yards, pretty much 13, 8 touchdowns. Tank Dell stepped up big time. That was a great player. But again, only 11 games played. So it's almost looking like, who's going to be the number 2 wide receiver for the Texans? Is it going to be Christian Kirk? Is it going to be Jalen Noel? So that's the question I have, is it going to, who's going to step up in that role? You have Noah Brown and Robert Woods as well, kind of just in and out as that number 2 option. So is that going to be, that combined could be Jaden Higgins. So I've done some stats here. Also, if you look at not only this, but Stefon Diggs last year, 8 games played. If you calculate him playing in every single game, that's, he had 70, was it? 47 catches, yeah. So if Stefon Diggs was fully healthy, I calculated that to 99 receptions, 1,054 yards, 6 to 7 touchdowns, and that's what you need as a number 2. Now, let's be fair. Jaden Higgins and Stefon Diggs, kind of two different wide receivers. Diggs is a better route runner, and again, he was getting older. He got hurt, unfortunately, and Collins was hurt as well. So that's the one big strength that the Texans have, is now that they have replenished the wide receiving core, drafting 2 Iowa State players, signing Justin Watson, signing Braxton Berrios. You have a lot of depth there, and John Mechie could potentially be traded. We don't know who's going to be on the practice squad. Xavier Hutchinson's still there, so a lot. But looking at the 2 guys last year in terms of 2023 that were on the team, Robert Woods, Noah Brown, those combined are looking at 73 catches for just over 900 yards and 3 touchdowns. So the biggest thing here is Jaden Higgins should be a big factor. I think he's going to start day 1. He's going to be the guy, and he's probably going to be a solid number 2. And I look at, you put this on the screen, fantasy football. I know they calculate all the projections as to what's each guy's going to have. And if you don't know me, I'm a big stats guy, so I'm going to try and give you the best realistic thing possible, looking at all the stats, breaking everything down. And of course, Jaden Higgins is going to be utilized, but does that mean Nico Collins, his production, does that dip? Again, Diggs only played in 8 games last year, so if you really look at Collins' stats, 1,000 yards, 12 games played, that's probably what he's going to do again this year, because the Texans have so much wide receiver talent to spread around. So that's going to be interesting. But Higgins, they're projecting him just over 500 yards as the number 3 option on the Texans, which is very interesting. So I'm kind of confused there as to, is he not going to get the ball as much as we think? But, let's take a look at the Rams offense last year. Puka Nacua, 900 yards. Again, players that are not playing the whole season. 11 games for Nacua, 12 games for Kupp, and 990, 700 yards. The number 1 option and the number slot. The number 2 is the slot receiver. So that's the biggest thing, is when you're looking at the Texans offense with Nico Collins kind of representing Puka Nacua for the Rams, and then you're looking at Christian Kirk, Jalen Noel as the Cooper Kupps of the team, and the Tutu Atwells. What is this team going to look like, right? Do you have a switch at the slot position? Is it Kirk sometimes? Is it Noel other times? And that's where I'm just like, how is this offense going to look? And that's getting me thinking about the other guy I was going to talk about, Woody Marks, and how this offense in the run game is going to look a little differently. Because if you look at the run game, Mixon, 245 carries last year, 1,000 yards, didn't play in every game, had that ankle injury. But looking at Pierce and Ogunbowale, if I could say his name correctly, he had 40 carries. So I calculated Woody Marks' stats and what they could potentially be. I'm looking at Woody Marks having over 500 yards rushing this year. Mixon's probably going to have a similar year in terms of his carries at 240, 220. But seriously, I think Woody Marks is going to take a step forward and have around 4.5 yards a carry and open up a lot of running game for the Texans. I mean, this is going to be a run team. So Mixon's going to be great, but Marks is going to open it up even more. And I think he'll probably have around maybe 4 touchdowns as well. So Mixon will probably be the bell cow, double-digit touchdowns. I would expect that. But don't sleep on Woody Marks. My fear, and this does not make any sense, but my fear with this Texans team is, if we'll go back to the Rams, I actually don't have the Rams rushing here, but the Rams last year, Kyren Williams had over 300 carries, and we did not see Blake Corum be that rookie that they thought he was going to be. They drafted him, third round, and he didn't really contribute. So looking at kind of both these teams, I think both of these offenses are going to look similar. Now, Collins will probably have more touchdowns than Nacua, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Demarcus Robinson was their touchdown monster. Is that Jaden Higgins next year, or is it Nico Collins again? Again, there's so many things to break down, and it is a lot to process. Hopefully this is making sense, but now probably my favorite part of the video, Mike Clay has projections for everyone on the Texans, and I think this is ridiculous. First of all, I don't see Javis Mills stepping on the football field, but you never know. Here's the problem. Why would Stroud ever throw for under 4,000 yards? First question. Then he only throws for 20 touchdowns and double-digit interceptions. If we know anything about C.J. Stroud, let me go pull up the numbers. If you're looking at C.J. Stroud for the Texans, there is not a chance that he's going to throw. And I don't want to jinx him, but I don't believe there's a chance C.J. Stroud throws for double-digit touchdowns. Let me know in the comments. But, I mean, last year, Stroud threw for 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I don't think that happens again. You're looking at Stroud, again, he had a sophomore slump. I'm going to blame that on everybody else. His rookie season, he was so careful with the football. 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. A great touchdown to interception ratio. Yes, I know last year he was a little careless with the ball, but again, he didn't trust any of his receivers last year. One, because everyone was hurt. The rotation was always changing, and that's what Nick Caserio has done a great job of, replenishing the wide receiving core. You have so many talented guys you can throw into the mix, and that's what you want to see. But if we're looking at Stroud, I'm expecting a step up. Maybe double-digit touchdown. I don't really think he gets near that. Maybe 6 or 7 interceptions. I think that's his max. But he's going to throw for at least 400 yards, and he's going to throw for at least 20 touchdowns. I think he's around the 25 to 27 range, and that's just where I'm accurately calculating that because, I mean, look at the wide receivers he's got. Nico Collins. Jaden Higgins will be the number 2, probably switching in and out with maybe Justin Watson will be there. Higgins will probably play 90% of the snaps, if not 100. Kirk will be in the slot. Who knows who's going to win that job by training camp, but him and Noel are going to probably go in and out. And I was interested to see what Kirk was going to bring to the table this year, but they kind of just said, hey, Noel's there in the 3rd round. Let's pick him up. So I like the idea. I don't think Woody Marks is going to have only 105 carries. I project him to have around 120. Again, Mixon with 226. If you're looking at 390 attempts for the Texans, I think that's a little bit low just because the Texans are a team that ran the ball a lot last year. 434 times they ran the football. I mean, that's a lot. So I'm expecting the Texans to kind of look around the 450 mark. I mean, I know it's a lot, but looking at running the football, I'm expecting this to be a run-heavy team, especially when drafting Marks, right? And now you have Higgins and Noel. I would love for this team to be pass-heavy, but with the way it looks, and they're going to have a run-heavy scheme, that should benefit C.J. Stroud. It really should. But again, you're working with 3 new receivers. Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk, Jalen Noel. I mean, there is not a lot of players. There's not a lot of players on this team that have transferred over that are going to play, right? John Mechie is not going to see the playing field. Tank Dell's most likely out for the season. So Stroud has to develop a new rapport with Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk, Jalen Noel, Justin Watson, John Mechie's there, but Braxton Berrios. So there's a lot of names that now CJ Stroud has to work up a new rapport with. So that's something you have to not look forward to, but that's something you have to have as a key factor that could be, again, a down year for Stroud. But I really don't think, I mean, it's not the worst prediction I've seen, but at the same time, I think 25 touchdowns for Stroud, 8 interceptions, and 4,200 yards, I think, is pretty fair. The only thing is, if this is a run-heavy team and you have Mixon running for 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns, and you have Marks running for 500 yards, there's going to be a run-dominant team, and I don't hate that, but you have to keep in mind, what's this team going to look like? So, looking at the run game last year, like I said, 430 carries, it's going to be something special. I really do think this team's going to be great. But my two favorite players that are going to play this year is probably Higgins and probably Woody Marks. I think Marks is going to be a huge contributor to the offense. I wouldn't be surprised if he averages around 5.5 carries. And just to give Mixon a break too, because he's getting older as well, approaching the 30-year-old mark. And for running back, we all know that we don't want to run Joe Mixon in the ground, especially when he had 245 carries last year and had an ankle injury. Mixon will be 29 in a couple months, but I mean, looking at this team, it's definitely a little bit of a surprise as to what's going to happen, right? Is it going to be a run-heavy scheme? Are they going to just pepper the ball down the field like Stroud did his rookie year? I mean, they could, but the thing is, when you look at between the rosters of Stroud and his rookie year, Stroud didn't have a lot to work with. They didn't really have a run game at all, so CJ Stroud was passing for 240 yards almost every game because, well, they couldn't run the football. So now they can successfully run the football with Joe Mixon and Woody Marks, and I love this projection sheet because it really is kind of something crazy. But I will expect Higgins to have at least 700 yards. Kirk, he'll probably be a factor as well. I think Noel will definitely be a little bit more of a factor. Kirk and him will probably split time at slot, but I think Noel, over the course of the season, will eventually take over. He's shiftier. He's a little faster. Again, Kirk is getting older. He's had injuries in the past. And I like the move for Caserio because we don't know how long he'll be out there for. So, overall, Jaden Higgins is probably my favorite player. I mean, I've told you the numbers. For me, I'm projecting him to have around 70 catches, probably close to 1,000 yards, and 4 or 5 touchdowns. And for Mike Clay and his projection sheet, he's thinking around the same thing, just a couple hundred yards less, 20 catches less. I mean, Collins is going to be the main target, don't get me wrong. But Higgins will be right up there. And I think this is a future Jamar Chase T. Higgins situation. I know Collins isn't necessarily at the caliber of top 5 receiver yet, but he's definitely near the conversation. He's definitely top 10, right? But the weirdest thing is, remember, like, Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins are kind of very similar wide receivers. So I think it's funny you have them on separate sides of each other, but with both their good route running abilities, their great hands, I don't hate it. And then you have Kirk and Noel to open up the middle of the field, Watson to go behind Higgins if, injuries were to be a factor again, Berrios to fill in for the slot if that were to go wrong. So I just love the way they've kind of backed up the backups, and that's kind of what you want to see. So the tight end room, looking at it, I don't think Schultz is going to have 500 yards. They didn't really use the tight end a lot last year. I know Schultz was a pretty big factor in terms of the receiving core. He was 3rd in the depth chart last year, but that was due to the lack of receivers. So I would expect Schultz's numbers to go down, probably around 30, 40 catches, 400 yards. Again, I wouldn't even think he's going to get near the 500-yard mark. But a little bit of a longer video. Sorry I've been rambling on, but I just love what this team's capable of. Those are the 2 rookies that I'm going to highlight to have breakout seasons, if you would. And I would say a rookie getting close to 1,000 yards, especially in the second round. We saw it with Ladd McConkey last year. We could definitely see that with Jaden Higgins and Nico Collins. in the future. So I love this team. The only real problem that will hold back the offense in terms of the receiving room is the amount of lack of if they do throw the ball, because I'm expecting a run-heavy system, and if that's the case, Woody Marks will go off. So one of those two guys will absolutely explode. If not, both of them will play pretty well, and those are my two guys to highlight. So hopefully you guys like this video. It's a little bit different, inspired by a comment. So if you guys want to see anything you want, let me know in the comments. So thank you guys so much for watching. 88% of you, once again, are not subscribed. We're going to continue to pump out videos. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know your thoughts on the two potential rookies that are going to absolutely slay out for the Texans. But this has been Mike Zanetti, Texans Digest, and we'll see you in the next video.